Yes, greetings to you all. We're live today. Have on the line Brother Lenny. The topic is of discussion is options versus decisions. The title of the show is resiliency of vision. So what does that mean? Brother said, Elijah Muhammad said that vision stems from the source of one's thinking. In that Bible, it says that where there is no vision, the people will perish. So we have to have vision. And one thing I realize again about vision, it stems from the source of your thinking, and every thought begins with a seed. Brother Lenny, good to hear from you, brother. How's things going with you?
Oh man, it's my pleasure, man. It's an honor to be on the line with you today. Every day is going great, man. How about you?
Yeah, man, I'm just as I always like to say, I'm just holding on, holding on. Someone says, you got to keep holding on, don't let go, but sometimes, my arms get tired. Yes, sir. But then again, as Fannie Lou Hamer would say, I'm sick of tired of being sick of tired of being sick and tired. Whatever that phrase she said, just tired of being tired. So maybe it is a sickness in that regard. All right, yeah, we as stated earlier about the theme is options versus decisions. Lenny, explain a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. No problem, no problem. Yep. Lenny Lewis there. Born and raised Brooklyn, New York. I live out in the Maryland area at the time. Man, I mean, my life's pretty simple, man. My life's pretty simple, man. Entrepreneur, electrician by trade. I'm also an educator, so one of my passions is educating and training. So I'm looking to really take that to the next level. I've done a lot of. I actually have a program for youth called Successful Speaking, where I teach them how to engage in speaking, public speaking, learn how to articulate. So at this time, I'm really trying to, get that, bring it to the next level. I've been doing it for a while now, so I'm really trying to just bring it worldwide. So that's about it for me, man. I'm just on a mission, man, to become better, learn better, and just advance in my personal development.
Great. That's good news. Now, also too, you mentioned that you deal with public speaking, and did you attend like the was a part of the Toastmasters or somewhat?
Yes, absolutely. I am a member of Toastmaster. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster, which means I've achieved the highest, I guess, position in Toastmasters. I went on to become an area governor, in which I governed about maybe about 8 clubs. Then I went on from there to division governor, where I went on to, and I had to manage about 30 clubs. So that the leadership aspect of Toastmasters is really helpful, as well as the speaking. But I want to take it to the top, so I did that. And I actually encourage anyone who wants to improve on their speaking and leadership skills to definitely find a Toastmasters club in your area or near your job, and just get in it. I mean, it's well worth it, and it's so much. It's so affordable to be able, to grow through Toastmasters. So I definitely encourage that. Yes, I would definitely follow Toastmasters.
Yes. Great. This topic of discussion, options versus choices. Uh, what is the difference between the two?
Great question. Now, it's funny. Now, when we talk about options, you're thinking about, most people think about, okay, you get to choose between one or more things, right? So they're giving you the thing or things to choose from, as opposed to choices. You may not want those things that are given to you to choose from. You want to just choose what you want to choose. So, a huge difference. A lot of people, I believe, mistaken it by making the two words alike or meaning the same. They actually do not mean the same.
Yes, yes. You know, in this society here, we say there's a choice between two evils, you know. Why would you want to choose between the two? So therefore, they're limiting your options, you know. Yes. Well, needs to say that's something that someone else has come up with to either to first to limit your options, and then you think about it to either control, you know, in the manner and way in which you go about choosing your options. Oh, now I use the word choice. Should I use them in different manners or different ways, or am I using it in a manner that suits the context or the content of the discussion?
Right. Okay. Well, I would definitely agree. So, for example, you know, you said, well, you know, let's say someone says you got to choose your options. You got to choose your options. Right. Now, that is a correct sentence. However, again, an option means you want this one, or that one. A choice means I'm going to take this one, which is not even a part of the three ingredients choice to choose from.
Yes, yeah, I got you. Now, when I think of choice, I think of it says, you know, it's like a decision making. Excuse me. In the society in which we live, it says that people are a product of their decisions. I mean, a product of their environment, I should say, you know. And I jumped the gun too fast, but I realizing that people are a product of the decisions that they make, you know. So if you're a product of the decisions that you make, and realize that deals with, you know, dealing with problem solving skills. You know, when you have problem solving skills, you know, I look at the word problem. And the word problem in a Latin sense, that means that is an obstacle that is thrown before you. Now, the thing is, what are some tangible means or ways in which one is able to, you know, maybe navigate through any problem? And, you know, and if there is a problem, what is the problem?
Great question. Well, the first thing I'd say is replace the word problem with the challenge. And I say that because it does something mentally to us. When we think of a problem, first of all, we you know, fear comes into mind. You know, doubt comes into mind. You know, when you think of a problem, that's why I totally disagree when the schools say, "Okay, let's see you complete this math problem." You know, it's actually a math equation. So, you know, and most people don't understand, but the words we use definitely affect our mindset. You know, we are a species that operates on recall. So the first thing we think about is our past experiences within that particular subject matter, right? So first thing we got to do is replace problems with challenge. And so what happens is when you say challenge, what do we do with challenges? We sit there and think about how we're going to get through it. So we sit there and think about strategies to get this done. So that's the number one thing. Replacing the word problems with challenges. Anything you go through in life is just a challenge, right? That can be overcome. Now, you said something very, very key. You just said your decisions or choices is a product, right? So when you make a choice to do something, we already know that there's going to be an outcome to that choice, right? I don't use the word circumstances. It's the outcome. Because what happens is, as an outcome, it may not be your desired outcome, but guess what? Make a different choice, right? Make a different choice. So the challenge that you had, that you're working towards, you know, getting over that challenge or just pushing through that challenge or overcoming that challenge, you look at it differently and you actually feel good because once that challenge is overcame, you feel a sense of achievement as opposed to a problem.
Okay, yes. Several things come to my mind. First of all, when I hear the word achievement, I think of the word of also what comes to mind is a word called limitations, right? Now we're talking about flow, and you know, and that which prevents the flow. And when you think about that, you think about negative and positive. You need both, but then again, the word negative is to negate access to, and the word positive is to add access to. So when you're talking about the when we're talking about being we're a product of the decisions that we make, and we remove the word problem and replace it with something, which is another a good point, because when you remove something, you should place it with something, necessary to replace it with something else, because then there is an emptiness there. So, in removing the word problem and put the term challenge there, I mean, if you are looking for something and you used to it being there and it's not there no more, you become challenged or you become lost because you used to it being there. And the point that I'm making is that because these repeat themselves, become habits, it is difficult to be used to doing something or thinking a certain way and trying to change that. You follow what I'm saying? So what I am saying is this here, is that there is a gradual process that must take place in the debriefing of the way that you used to think, or to try to remove something that maybe has been there for so long that you have been used to, and therefore you have become so used to it, and it may give you some value or some hope. Say, for instance, it's like someone's been telling you a lie all your life and you think it's the truth and it ain't the truth. So if they aren't able to remove that or does not see that as a lie, then there is a psychological term, or psychologists would say, that people are suffering from cognitive dissonance. You see. So therefore, what I'm saying is that you have to identify the problem, I use the word problem, of which people are dealing with right now in their thinking. It's cognitive dissonance. They can see the obvious, but won't accept it as if it is so. What is the challenge, and how do you address that?
Okay, make sure I understand your question. So you're saying, first part, of course, like you said, great point, but you're gonna take them away, you should replace them. So we take away problem and replace it with the word challenge.
Yeah.
So your question to me is, how do we take that challenge? In fact, repeat the question for me.
Yeah, my thing is that I heard what you said. I agree with the replacing it with something. Well, what I'm saying is that it's been there so long, it's so used to it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say, when you go in and deal with someone who has been used to something for so long, and even though it is not, you tell them that it's not so, and they think it is so. So there is some, like we said, the mental stuff, they're dealing with cognitive dissonance. For example, if you are you may lord over me, for a lack of words, if I may use that term, right? And I try to tell you something about business, you won't listen to me directly. You talk about a strategy now. So I'm saying is that you must approach this indirectly. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Because before we deal with, my thing is that we use words a lot. And I think that because I learned that intelligence is nothing but a product of thoughtful, considerate, or thoughtful, considerate expressions. You know what I'm saying? Thoughtful expressions, I should say. But my point is that because when we're dealing with, if we identify with what's going on with a person, then we can give them the right prescription. You know what I'm saying? That's my point, because I know you got people, man, who they won't even care if what they call Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? To them, he still exists. You know what I'm saying? All these holidays, what holidays that is? They Easter. They still believe in it. You know what I'm saying? So, but see, those things have to be removed, but they so been used, and it gives them value. But then again, I hear what we're dealing with now. Not only cognitive dissonance, but we're dealing with something also called artificial intelligence, huh? Because most psychological breakdowns are done or occur due to having a phony identity. So that leads to the next part of the question when you talk about options versus choices, we're dealing with what about this this feeling of inadequacy or this identity crisis that many think people are dealing with in regards to this topic of options versus choices? Because it sounds very competitive. It sounds very competitive, you know.
Right.
Because
right.
one, you know, yeah, go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm.
No, I would say the first thing that people need to understand is, you know, there's no growth without change, right?
Mm-hmm.
The growth cannot happen without changing something. You know, a lot of people want to do the same things, wondering why they're getting the same results. But I mean, that's just basic equation. You know, same thing, same results. But in order to grow, you got to change. So a lot of times we're used to certain things. We're used to how we do things. We're used to how other people do things. So we really can't expect a different result. So as we go and just change the words that we use, it's going to change our mindset. And just, you know, for me personally, there should be an individual goal for personal growth, personal development. That's where it all starts, and wanting to do it. You know, a lot of people, they want more. And I used this example the other night, the shutdown we just had. And now I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I'm going to think totally different from a person that, you know, that feels like that 9 to 5 is all we're capable of doing. So we had a discussion. I told the gentleman, what he told me was, you know, that's why people need to really go out there, you know, and find a job that, you know, pays the best or pays the most. And I told him, I said, well, one thing we got to understand is, as long as another person can come take that job away, I don't care if it's the government, if it's private sector, it doesn't matter. As long as a person can come there and say, hey, your position is no longer needed, or, you know, whatever the case may be, like the shutdown. No one was prepared for the shutdown. We had federal workers that were working for the federal government 10, 15, 20 plus years, but those 33 days destroyed them. Those 33 days destroyed them. But they've been in the government for over, again, 10, 15, 20 plus years. So that's definitely something that needs to change. It needs to change. And if you look at the history of the wealthiest people on this planet, they all are entrepreneurs in some shape or form. So again, it starts with changing. I mean, growth and change. I mean, they're synonymous. It has to happen. You know, so when we talk about, for me, again, with the options versus choices, you know, every choice we make has an outcome. Now, that outcome does not match up to what we expect or our expectations. We got to go back to the drawing board, right, and deal with that challenge. Not with the problem, but with the challenge.
Yes, yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Because I conclude that, one of the social learning disabilities, because planet Earth, I've learned, is a sociological structure, whereas a wolf don't, a sheep shouldn't interact with a wolf. The thing is, though, it's the challenge is dealing with feelings of inadequacy. Because you when you're dealing with that, you think, am I good enough or am I worthy enough? So that's why I always say I promote the value of self-worth. But when you deal with anything that shuts down, there is a shut out. And then when you've been shut down or shut out, and your dependence has been on that, and it shuts you, and it shuts down, that means that, it shut down, it's shutting you out. That means it's completely shutting you down. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is going on. Nothing is happening. And that's why I've learned that when it comes to not only solidarity, because when you have solidarity, people will proceed to come at you with caution, and you don't have to worry about what no one else doing. And that's why I deal with your network, your net worth, and your network. And I think what is problem, if you go and try to catch something with a net, if that net is not strong enough, then you got too much fish. It's going to break the net. So that's why you got to have a strong networking system. And in that strong networking system, you got strong people that are around you who say that we agreed to come together. And the reason for us coming together, because I realized that that our social interactions should lead to business transactions, and that's how we effectively coordinate our power, you see. That means that I'm not sitting here socializing with you or interacting with you just to socialize you. I'm socially interacting with you so that we can be about the business. And business is perpetual motion. That means that, it don't make no difference what's going on in my life or your life, financially or economically. We know that we're going to be all right because we are working together. And that's the challenge now. And when I think about shutdown by a government, that means there was a shutdown of governance. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you have to govern, your life always on a daily basis. And that's why they talk about daily bread, always being fed enough information and strong networking system that we all can support and be there for each other. So yeah, you on point with that. I most definitely is in agreement with that. So that's why one of the reasons why and I don't want to stress somebody to get off on this is that I really do wanted to follow up with you in that regards. Even though that's an inside thing, but we talk about the discussion that we're having right now, and think about this here, and think about this. Talking about the mindset. Think about this here, and then I'm going to ask another question. They show the image. I don't get into this politics thing. Politics is nothing but a politics. But they show the picture of if it's so. This guy, the president, he's supposed to be having some in the White House. They're supposed to have some type of food there, and the food didn't look, some bull jive social media. Could be wrong, but I'm gonna make a point out of it. Whatever they had there, it is not about the physical food that you eat, huh? It is about the spiritual intake. You're talking about the outcome, the spiritual intake of the company and the conversation that you're having one with another. That's the food that we should be eating, huh?
Right. I agree.
But I'm just saying how the mindset, we're talking about the mindset, how that people's minds are focused on foolishness, huh?
Right.
So that's why you don't want to keep company with no one who's always fostering foolishness. Because what's going to happen? You're not going anywhere. It's a waste of time. So I'm saying that's the mindset. So, and that be the case now. When we talking about this mindset, it's also said that a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Ain't that something? That's it. Right. So I'm saying we have to be an optimist and see the opportunity in every difficulty. Huh?
That's right.
So the thing is though, if that be the case, you talk about growth and development. You said personal development and growth. Now we're talking about growing and becoming a mature coming to be what they call a mature human being. Now, how can you become mature unless you become responsible? Well, how can you become responsible unless our ultimate goal is, is to be accountable, because it's all about accountability. So do you think for the most part that when you talk about options versus choices, does responsibility comes into play? Does accountability comes into play? Does maturity comes into play? I mean, do those things come into play? Irresponsibility, lack of accountability, a strong network system. Does all those things come into play?
Absolutely. They have to. And, those things you mentioned, they're so key. I'm going to add another word to that group, and that's association. Who you associate with is critical when it comes to change and growth and things like that as well. So not only do we have to have a change, we have to have a change in our association. And what I mean by that is simply being around those who have similar goals, or those who have achieved what you're looking to achieve. Because those will be your best mentors. there's a phrase you probably heard before too. Is if you're the sharpest person in your circle, you need to get into another circle, and that's very key. Association is also one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. And the sad part or challenging part is the folk that you may need to get from around are typically the ones closest to you. But that's just how it works out. I talk about, when we see success stories and hear success stories, the glory sounds great, but there's a story behind all that glory. And all we look at and pay attention to is the glory. But when we hear the story of these successful people, it would amaze you as to what they went through and overcame to get where they are today. So, again, we like to see the shine and glitter, and we want to go right to that point. But, any type of growth is a process, and I encourage everyone to trust that process. Trust the process. There's never been a plant that you could, plant a seed today and tomorrow is a full harvest. I've never heard of it yet. I've never heard of it yet. In fact, there's a bamboo plant. When you plant that seed, it doesn't even start to sprout till about a couple of years later. But then after that, you're getting like a foot a year or something like that. So there's a process to all of this. Again, the way we were raised and taught by our parents, but they taught us what they knew. So when you know better, you do better. We can't. There's no one we can blame. There's no finger pointing. None of that. Of course, we have folks that grew up in conditions that were very challenging, very tough, very hard. But if you are here today to talk about it and speak about it, guess what? You too can change and have growth.
That sounds great. Sounds great. I think we're going to try to go ahead and about getting close to our time. Dealing with that process, and I realized that change is a product of human effort. Any other closing remarks? Because I thought that was very profound what you just said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, basically, man, for me, I would just encourage everyone. Mm-hmm. I've been an entrepreneur now for about 16 years. Mm-hmm. 16 years. And I would just encourage everyone, if we all deserve to live our best lives, we all deserve abundance, we all deserve happiness. But we must realize that, our experience on this plane here is going to have some lessons to be learned. In fact, there's some karma that some of us owe. So if you're wondering why you can't get ahead, you're wondering why these things are happening to you and around you, I just encourage you all, and I've said this for years, and said even more so. This was the longest shutdown in the federal government in the history of this government. And again, folks that are working for the government 5, 10, 15 plus years, I mean, they were shooken after 33 days. After 33 days, lives have been changed. So that's a lesson. That's a lesson. And when we get a lesson, we have to take that lesson, evaluate that lesson, evaluate ourselves, and put a game plan together. And I would encourage anyone, whatever the company or business is, but go into entrepreneurship. Go into entrepreneurship. And the best thing about entrepreneurship, your past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can have a record, you could be a graduate from Yale, it does not matter. Entrepreneurship is the thing of today. A multiple stream of income. It used to be one of those things where, it's just like, hey, it was just a great thing to have, but now it's a necessity. And again, I repeat this in closing. If another person can take away from you what feeds your family and pays your bills, it needs to be reevaluated. There needs to be something added. And I'm not job bashing. You got to pay our bills. I get that. But you need to add. There's wealthy people right now who have over 30 streams of income, while there are folks that are barely making it on one stream of income. And the best thing about entrepreneurship is available to each and every person. No one has a limitation on what they can do as far as entrepreneurship. So I actually teach folks that as well. I teach folks how to start their own business. You know, and I'll be glad to connect with you again where we can get some people started and just, you know, I guess just have a mastermind and just, you know, work on changing folks' mindset.
That sound like
changing folks' mindset. That happened today.
That sounds like a plan. Give the people your number just in case they, you know, if they want to reach you in that regards.
Oh, absolutely. My name is Lenny Lewis, Lenny, Lewis. Best number to reach me on is 301-747-1131. Just give me a call, give me a text, let me know that you got the number from this show here, and let's talk.
Yes.
Let's talk about the plans for our future. Let's talk about the plans for just leaving a legacy, especially if we have children. Again, my parents taught me what they knew. You know, they taught me what they knew, and as I've grown and I've learned to really understand, it's more an understanding that, you know, bro, I wanted more. Mm-hmm. I knew there was no way that another man who walks like me, talks like me, is dressed like me, can have so much success, and I don't have access to that. Yeah. So yeah, just give me a call. Let's talk about it. In fact, I have a lot of things going on right now where we could use the partners. So yeah, let's definitely
just give that number. Give that number again. So we gave a number again.
All right, absolutely. 301-747-1131.
Yes.
Lenny Lewis.
Sounds good. Resiliency of vision, communicating with precision, a clear image to the world through understanding, tolerance, temperance, confidence, and respect. And as I always say, give to the gift of social literacy. Yes. Thank you so much. Good talking to you, brother. Until next time.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Yes.
Peace.
Power.